Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pepito Live Costa Rica. Today, amigos, welcome to the show. And we have a pretty interesting and very important live show that we want to share with you all tonight. Today, we will be talking about moving to Costa Rica and where to live in Costa Rica. Amigos, pretty much on a daily basis, I am getting messages from people who from all around the world, North America, are sending me messages and saying, Pepito, we have a plan and we want to move to Costa Rica. And that is great news, and you're all welcome, and we're happy about that. And so today, but it is a very important subject, and it is not an easy decision to make, moving to another country. As exotic as it could be, it is a very, very serious decision. So a lot of people who actually write to me or call me, I will say, well, where is it exactly that you would like to move, or which type of area? And so a lot of those questions around that very important decision making is a process. And so today, I mean, I've been through that process about 7 years ago when we first came to Costa Rica. Actually, Carolyn and I, what we had done is we had came to Costa Rica about 7 or 8 times actually before we actually moved here. And we went and explored all around the country because we wanted to make the right decision. Now, the first advice I will tell you today, and this is my Pepito opinion on this, is what I tell people all the time is the expat life is not a vacation. And that is very, very, very serious because going into a country and living there and going to a country as a holiday are two different type of approaches. So the show that we have tonight, we want to go over some of these issues that are very important in the decision-making process. And also with our very special guest today, with Pablo Arias, we will actually cover some of the different types of regions that we have in Costa Rica, so that by the end of the show, amigos, you will have an opportunity to say, okay, I understand exactly what is involved and whereabouts I'm going to be going and how I will approach this experience. And with our guests, you're going to see we're actually going to be talking about the fact that there's a lot of people who actually move into a country as an expat and who haven't had the opportunity to do this process and this thinking before they actually move, and they end up having a bad experience. And for some reason, as exotic as it may appear, after maybe a year or a year and a half and 2 years, decide, well, you know what, this experience in the end was not for me, and they end up going back home to Canada, the States, or Europe, or whatsoever. So, amigos, without any further waiting, let's welcome to a special guest that we have on the show with us today, Pablo Arias. ¿Cómo está, amigo? How are you?
Hello, everybody. Hola a todos. Pura vida.
Pura vida.
I have to say that I'm thrilled. I'm happy to share this time with you, Pepito, and to talk to our audience. I think this is a very important decision. And basically what I do, I help people move to Costa Rica. So I get requires from people ask me from Europe or from Canada, from everywhere, Pablo, how much would you help me move to El Coco or Jaco or many different locations? And for the last 10 years and a half, I've been going to these locations and making these deliveries, and I get to stay in all over Costa Rica, which that's what I like my job. I have the opportunity to live and visit almost every single beach town and every single tourist location for years.
Yeah. So Pablo,
years, and I discovered many things, and I also I interview my clients all the time. Why are you moving to this place? And why do you like Costa Rica the most? And they take me through their journey before they, why they decided on this and that. And so I'm really happy to share my experience with all of you guys.
Well, thank you for accepting. First of all, you're a Costa Rican.
Yep.
You were born in Costa Rica, and you're the perfect guest for today because you're a Costa Rican, you know your country, and of course, your business and your employment brings you all into these different types of regions, and that's what we want to hear about. In the end of the show, you will tell us a little bit more specifically exactly what your moving company entails and how people can contact you. Also, we want to remind people, amigos, you can make comments in the chat, okay? And we've put a message there. Tell us, what is your favorite area to live, or any questions you may have during the show. Also, any questions you may have for a special guest today, Pablo, he knows a lot. He's a lot of fun. So don't be shy with your questions. Now is the time. This advice is free. This show is for you. So take this opportunity. And what we're going to do is we're going to put some of these comments right there on the screen, and Pablo will answer to your comments. And like someone here is saying, success is everywhere. Great topic. And we may also once in a while have some comments in French. So this person saying, okay, it's too bad this show today is not available in French. Unfortunately, our guest today is English speaker. We do one show in French, one doing in English every week. One show in French, one show in English. And so we're trying to respond to all the needs like that. So, Pablo, I've made, before we actually get into the regions, I've put in a little bit of information to make the dream come true and help people think this true. And I'm going to ask you your comments on some of these. The first one, you remember I said the expat life is not a vacation. I think one of the things that people need to think about when they're thinking of moving into a country like Costa Rica is, first of all, is the weather. Because in Costa Rica, we have several types of microclimates, right?
Definitely. You have to be aware of, we have all kinds of climates. One of the beauties, I think, is this makes Costa Rica very special. And I'm really proud of this. Every time I get to talk to a friend in the US or somewhere else, and they ask me why Costa Rica, why so many people is moving to Costa Rica, it's like, you got a lot of options in a very small country. You could be on the beach, or you can be on the Central Valley, in the mountains, within a few hours.
Exactly.
But that means that you have to make sure where you're moving is the climate right for you. Some people do not do very well in a climate that is very humid. Some people do better. So understanding these factors may really make a difference.
Absolutely. And think about that before you actually start looking at the very specific area. And same thing, climate, beach, okay, more into the mountains, okay, that is a different type of climate also. Some people want the beach experience. Some people, want another type of experience. And Costa Rica is a very small country. It's 51,000 square kilometers, very, very small country. But we have 8-9 different microclimates. We have a lot of diversity. So, to find your area of love, it requires some exploration and reflection. So beach, mountain, warm, cooler climate. And here's another point also that's very important. People don't realize is that, the area you may choose, some areas of Costa Rica are more touristy, a little bit more modern. They speak a little bit more English. Other areas of Costa Rica, you're saying, oh, I'm going for the pura vida. I want the typical life. Well, you know what? The typical life means you need to be able to communicate with the people. You need to speak the Tico language, right?
Well, I think what I have to add about this, I think Costa Rica is better than most other countries as far as we have the culture is very touristic. We are after as a country to attract tourism into Costa Rica. So in a lot of areas that are more tourist oriented, you're gonna find a lot of ticos that will speak English, that you may be, fit in easily than other areas that you may have a little bit more of a challenge, how to talk, get your basic things in the supermarket may be a challenge.
Yep.
If you are not, flexible with this part, or if you need some help with the translation.
Absolutely.
So it's really up to up to you. It's really
Yeah.
up to, do you really want this challenge to, like, go into the supermarket and try to, do all the mimic, to say whatever, talk to your with
Yeah.
your hands,
Yeah.
which I think is an adventure. It could be an adventure, but for some people it may not be the best fit. So looking
Uh-huh.
into an expat community that is already established, that already have a lot of services that are designed and thought for expats, may be a better fit.
Exactly. We do have a first comment and question from Dennis C. Limon. And hello, my friends. If you had 3 weeks to see and do as much as possible in Costa Rica, what would the itinerary look like? Dennis, I think that sort of like depends on your interest. And I'm hoping that actually the information we're going to share to you today, because today we're going to be sharing, we're going to be talking about 7 regions of Costa Rica. So we are hoping that the information we provide today will actually help someone like Dennis to actually be able to sort of like give some priorities to different regions and then go and explore. So for us to design like a plan for someone, I think it's a little bit tricky because it depends on your interest. But today we will provide you with some profiles and you could sort of like see how you would want to approach that. Another question here from Leslie Laving. I have never been, and I am a single 50 something who is not against traveling alone, but safety is a consideration. Pablo, is Costa Rica a safe country?
Okay. Uh, I do not feel, and I was just talking to Pepito not too long ago. I do not feel unsafe. Of course, even the smallest little town might have some petty theft, uh, but I don't feel it's like violent unless I don't really feel unsafe, and that's my personal opinion.
Mhm.
Of course, uh, I'm a man. I'm 38 years old, and I live in an area where my property is safe. Uh, but I don't really feel unsafe. And I've been through other countries. I've been in Mexico. I've been in Salvador, Guatemala, many other locations in the region that I do feel that are very unsafe.
Mhm.
Just like, I don't know where is our this person from, but
Mhm.
I'm absolutely sure that if you are in Dallas, Texas, in at late at night, that may be unsafe. Or if
Mhm.
you are in Miami, Florida, or Los Angeles, California.
Yeah,
Uh, so
you're
it's
so right.
not, yeah.
I feel like
But
Costa Rica is probably one of the safest, probably the safest country in Central America, actually, and probably one of the safest places to be in the world in many many types of perspective. The other thing is that I think while determining a region is like the access to healthcare, people need to think about that because some like more modern cities like Liberia and San Jose and stuff, they offer like more developed healthcare infrastructures. Other areas like we're going to see a little bit later don't have. They may have some clinics on site and that kind of stuff, but if you're like if you're a retired person and you got a certain age and you need specific type of healthcare, then you need to think about maybe going or choosing a community that's going to bring you closer to these infrastructures.
of course,
The other one is the typical versus a modern lifestyle. We could have both in Costa Rica, right?
yeah. Once you get to the Central Valley in San Jose, or the bigger cities, or even the tourist locations, you have more, of access to everything, access to a lot of different things, just like any other big city in the world. Even delicatessens, or fine cheese, or fine wine. Costa Rica, it's imports all of these things. Remember, we're a tourist destination. We have a big hotel and resort industry, and you can find all these things in most of the bigger cities or tourist places. Or the opposite to that is going into the rural areas, a little more far away from the city, and getting access to those things may not be as easy. You have to maybe do your drive a little bit, drive 30 minutes to an hour or so. Uh, but it's also more calm. Some people really like that.
That's
And
right.
and the interaction, I think, with people, it's different. When,
Yep.
let's say, you're going into, let's say Palmares or Grecia or Atenas, a little bit outside in the Central Valley, but a little bit on the outside, uh, you feel more like a small town, and it may be easier for you to meet people and connect with them and make friends because it's a small town. I mean, everybody knows each other
Yes.
versus living in a big city or even in a tourist town. I think even though a lot of people will know each other, but there's a lot of people in transit, so it's a different
Mhm.
feeling.
Absolutely. We have successes everywhere. We live in Catalina Cove, Brasalito, perfect location between Tamarindo and Flamingo. Thank you for your comments, amigo. Anytime anybody has a comment, if you I already know what your favorite area in Costa Rica is, please let us know. We'll put your comment on the screen. Uh,
Great.
yeah, Jeremiah Costa. I am Puerto Rican and I am looking to move to Costa Rica. I will be relocating with my elderly mother and stepfather. He requires some medical care, more medical care than normal. What should we try first? And actually, we're going to start with the capital region in just a few minutes. So I think we'll be able to answer Jeremy's question. And thank you, amigos, for your comments. Claude Haché, Samara, and Carillo has set the bar for us. We will be exploring the rest of Costa Rica and search for comparables. I just want to go over like these little things that we had. So we talked about modern or traditional lifestyle. Also, like the region you pick, okay, may affect your budget. So some places are a little bit more touristy, a little bit more commercialized. Of course, that will be a lifestyle that will be more expensive than, picking more of a typical community. And also, if you are planning on having your own transportation, that needs to foster. So if you're going to a remote area, you need to buy a car. If you're going to a more developed area, you could use the public transportation system. So all of these factors are really, really, really interesting. And I'm just like dropping these down right now. Also, the other element, people don't really think about that at the beginning, but will you be applying for residency? Because if you're not going to be applying for residency, means that you actually need to be getting out of the country every 90 days. So you need to plan for that. Are you going to be going to Panama? Are you going to be going to Nicaragua? Are you going to be going back to Florida? Somewhere. So you need to think about that. If you're going to be applying for residency, then you could stay here. So you need to plan. So if you need to get out, then you need to have access to a way to do that. So those are all like very, very important, points. Success for everywhere. We have the people from Potrero watching us today. Luis Potrero is a lot like that. And this gentleman here is, he's going to be coming to Costa Rica in 5 years. His wife is into regenerative agriculture. So he wants more of a ranch. While he wants to live by the beach. Where could we go that satisfies both of us? On the top of your head, okay? Ranch and beach. Does that ring something to you
That
before we go down?
Well, the other gentleman said it out loud very well. Playa Potrero looks like ranch and beach, which
Yeah.
is nice beach, a hill, but between that there is a lot of cows and horses, and that's the landscape. It's dry.
Absolutely.
It's a dry location, but there are many others. I would say near. I just moved a few months ago. A lady. To near Hermosa, and then that area, Pacific Central, has a lot of places where people has horses, all of that, all the way down to like Osa. I will say that
Yeah.
people could buy a property that has a space for horses and have a ranch, and that's right across the street.
Yeah.
You have the beach,
Yeah.
very very fairly close.
Lots of farming opportunities in Costa Rica, actually, and Guanacaste. Actually, Guanacaste is farmland. Amigo, we're going to start dropping now a map, and with this map, we're going to divide the country in 7 regions, and I'm going to let you, maybe give like a 1 or 2 minutes sort of like presentation per these. So maybe from the perspective, Pablo, that we were actually talking in terms of, is this like more of a typical aspect? Is this more a little bit modern? Is this a bigger city? Is this smaller? And just to give people, and then that I think that will give us an opportunity in the end to take more questions for from the people, because the first area we're actually going to be talking is the capital of the country, which is San Jose. And you know that area quite a bit. Could you tell us a little bit about San Jose, where it's situated? What is involved in San Jose if I want to move there, Pablo?
Okay, San Jose is the first point for most people when they arrive to Costa Rica. Most people will come into the Central Valley. They're going to come into our international airport, Juan Santa Maria. And from San Jose, they usually stay at night or two in San Jose to explore a little bit. It's more like it's our city, it's our capital. Most government offices are going to be in San Jose. The immigration office is located in San Jose. And of course, in the Central Valley, you're going to find almost everything you could probably need. A lot of people ask me, am I going to find this wine, or am I going to find this ingredients? I like to cook. I like to get a special something. In San Jose, I bet you're gonna find whatever you're looking for to cook, to live. There is big box stores all over the place. There are a lot of options for shopping. There are all kinds of services, internet connection. You find in most places in perfect conditions. A lot of people that I help when they're moving down to the Central Valley are going to work for corporations. So not many retirees are going to come to retire into San Jose, but they are usually people that come for work, and they stay within Escazú, Santa Ana, Belen, in Curridabat as well. We have expat communities of people that work in Costa Rica around those areas. And I think it's important for me to share, because a lot of people do not realize. A lot of people just bypass San Jose. They just come and they just go directly to Guanacaste, or they just come and they go directly to Fortuna. San Jose has a lot of potential if you're willing to explore a little bit. For art, there are museums. We have something that is very Costa Rican, that I loved. That if you speak a little bit of Spanish and willing to try something different, we have this. They are like rural. I will say rural. Is it rural theaters? And it's very funny. It's a very Costa Rican comedy type. That I think if you speak some Spanish and you understand some Spanish, you'll have a blast, because this small productions. This is like in all houses within San Jose. There are many. I could think about maybe 5 small little theaters that you just walk in, and the comedy there is very Costa Rican. The lingo, the expressions is very Costa Rican, and it will be a very interesting, culture, experience for if you speak some Spanish, which
Yes.
which I really like those theaters in San
Absolutely.
Jose.
I did
And
put a picture of the Teatro Nacional,
yeah,
and that's an amazing place. It's got a lot of culture. It's got it's got ballet. It's got the classical music. It's got like theater. It's got a whole bunch of things in there, and it's an historical building. It's just absolutely a good reflection of all the cultural elements you may find there. And also in the Central Valley, San Jose is in the Central Valley. You could be out of San Jose within an hour and a half, and you could see all of these communities and live in the mountains, right? And you're like an hour and a half from the major city.
so you have San Jose, and right outside San Jose, you have all these many different towns and small towns and places. You find the weather, it's nicer. I think it's a little chilled in relationship. You comparing that into going into the Guanacaste or right outside the beach towns.
Yes.
So a lot of people like these towns. Like, I think San Ramon has become a very popular location. Grecia, Atenas. Also in the other side by Cartago, there is another small valley that is called Orosi, which I don't think many expats live there, but it's beautiful. It's a gorgeous little valley. And going outside San Jose, it could mean interesting opportunities. It's not as expensive to purchase property in these areas, and the scene, it's beautiful. The mountains, nice weather.
And San Jose is a cooler climate, so people need to understand we're higher up in altitude. It's not a beach climate. It's much cooler, fresh at night, very refreshing. So it's pretty cool. We do have a question here. I'm going to answer from Leslie Leving. A question regarding actually special consideration for digital nomads. Actually, Leslie, you could Google it on some of the Costa Rican media, the Tico Times, for example. The Costa Rican government, I'm just going to do, this is a good point, actually. The Costa Rican government is in the process right now of reviewing and changing its law to accommodate residency for digital nomads. So I won't get too much into details. We're actually going to be doing a special show very soon on that very specific topic. So if you haven't had the opportunity to subscribe to Pepito Live to see that show, please, by all means, do so. Another area that I'm going to go in now, right now, you mentioned it a little bit earlier. This is where I live. This is Guanacaste. And Guanacaste, where is Guanacaste, Pablo?
Well, Guanacaste is like at the north. So it's from San Jose. If you want to put that into perspective, how much do I have to drive? It's probably 4 hours from San Jose. It's up north. It's the border. It's borders with Nicaragua. So if you have to do a border run, it may be easier if you live in Guanacaste. Just go to Nicaragua to probably San Juan del Sur and spend a day or a night there. It's also a very popular location for expats. I did a survey. I don't know if you guys noticed, whoever is paying attention to what I do in the expat groups. I did a survey asking people, where do you live in Costa Rica, and where do you want to live and why. And this is the area that has got more attention out of a expat group with 23,000 people. Most of them are looking into Guanacaste, this El Coco, Playa Hermosa, Playa Panama, also Tamarindo is close, Potrero, Conchal. It's a beautiful location.
Here's a picture for people who don't know about, here's Playa del Coco. So we're going to show a couple of pictures just to put people sort of like into perspective. And we've tried to select some photos that are sort of like a reflection also of the residential area. So this is Playa del Coco. This is Las Palmas, the area where I live, not too far from there, actually. Very close access to the beach. This one here is very different. You know this, Pablo? This is Playa Hermosa.
Yeah.
And this is also a cool community. Playa del Coco was a very, for a long time, like a fisherman's village. So it still has that cultural sort of element to it, this feeling of a fishing village. So it's pretty nice place. It's a good balance between the traditional lifestyle and the modern lifestyle. And you've also mentioned, of course, Tamarindo. Tamarindo is a little bit more, it's a little bit like the Miami of Costa Rica, right?
Well, Tamarindo has become a very busy location. A lot of people enjoy Tamarindo, the beach, the different Playa Langosta, and all of those are very beautiful locations. And you can find all kinds of good restaurants, and cuisine is good. There's a lot of options for that, and a lot of places for you to stay in a nice neighborhood. It's also very easy. People have to think about this. I believe this is important. You have to think about, what about in high season? Am I going to feel good? Because Tamarindo, perhaps, and some of those areas that are a little bit more tourist locations, on the peak of high season, there is a traffic. There is lines of people trying to enter into Tamarindo and trying to exit, because it's very popular also for Costa Ricans to go on a vacation to Tamarindo or El Coco or some of the other areas. So if you are trying to avoid traffic, even on peak season, may not be the best fit, or you might have to find another location that is maybe close but not within that.
And people need to know that here in Guanacaste, I mean, you need to enjoy the hot weather, okay? Because Guanacaste on the beaches is warm weather. So it's warm and it's dry. So some people sometimes find it actually too warm. I mean, for myself, I love it, but for some people it's too warm. So you need to think about that. Just south of the area here is the Nicoya Peninsula, which is actually a very, very special area that I really like because of its cultural aspect. And the Nicoya Peninsula, the Nicoya area, Pablo, has been known actually as one of the five blue zones in the world, which means that it's one of the some of the areas in the world where people actually live longest, right?
Well, it's super interesting that a combination of different factors, what people eat, how people keeps themselves active. I mean, Costa Ricans in the area, I guess we get getting the bike and driving the bicycle for 30 minutes to get to a supermarket or so. So you see many Costa Ricans being very laid back, do a lot of exercise. There's a lot of fishing and a lot of fishermen. So that's one of the income revenue to families. So it's very active as well. And what we eat as well. So on that location, we eat a lot of fish. Uh, so those may be some of the reasons, as far as the research I was looking at the other day, why people could live over 100 years in Nicoya. Those
Yes.
customs and that, and also I think is uh, very interesting, and not just geographically within Costa Rica, but uh, we have different, just like in many other countries, we have different even accents. In Guanacaste, there is an accent, and how families are put together. In Guanacaste and in Nicoya in particular, there is a lot of people that are very close. These big families. Some of them like eight brothers or eight uncles, and so many families get together for different activities within the community, and that also generates that additional.
Uh-huh.
The research I seen that additional interaction with family and other people makes people live longer for some
Absolutely.
reason. But that's Nicoya. I love a lot of the beach towns in this area. I love, like, if I wanted to get there, one of the easiest access for me to get there would be getting the ferry, and
Mhm.
going into
From
Montezuma.
San Jose.
From San Jose. Well, yeah, if you're in Guanacaste like you, I mean, you're in the other. It might be just you could just
Yeah.
drive. For me, I'll have to. So it's an experience, going to Punta Arenas, getting the ferry, 1 hour on water, and get to Playa Naranjo, and then start driving to Montezuma. Some of this, so
Absolutely.
very remote, very remote.
Beautiful
He-
and beautiful. And Christy
Beautiful, but
Morrison actually attests to what we were saying. She says, we chose to live in the Nicoya for our retirement. The community is amazing and the beach is unreal. Love it. Well, thank you, Christy, for joining us, and thank you for the comment. So she's,
well,
she's talking exactly in the same sense that we are talking. You were speaking. You mentioned like some of the beaches, and you know what? The Nicoya area has like some amazing beaches also, like Samara and Playa Carillo, which are some amazing communities also. It's beautiful, like um,
Santa Teresa,
Santa Teresa,
Malpais, Montes,
Malpais.
Montezuma. There's an interesting community, more like a gated community in Tambor. Uh,
Mhm.
Something else to think about: this area is far away from a bigger city. So if you have to get, healthcare, and you need to be closer to, one of the main hospitals, private or public, it may not be the best fit, because I think it's the drive time. It's far away
Yeah, I
from
think the
San Jose.
closest commercial center, if you're like in Samara, Carillo, those areas, like it would be Santa Cruz. You're probably like about an hour and a half away. From San Jose, you have to take the ferry. You're probably 4 or 5 hours away. From
4 hours.
Liberia Airport, you're 3 hours away. So it's a lovely community. It's one of my favorite communities, actually, Samara, and that whole area, Carillo. I love Carillo also. But in terms of access to services, that's where you need to do like a little bit of research. We have somebody ask a quick question here about cell phones, the best cell phone options in Costa Rica. Amigo, Jeremy, there's a lot of good options for cell phones in Costa Rica. Come on down, don't worry too much. There's some good cell phone plans in Costa Rica, Colby, Claro, other companies also. They're all pretty much good. In terms of cell phone infrastructure in Costa Rica, you will not be disappointed at all. And so another question here, when trying on different places to live, what is the best way to find long-term, multi-month or yearly rental apartments and cars? Amigos, there's a lot of like on Facebook. Like if you're interested, for example, once you decide the area of your interest, if you're interested, for example, in Samara, you go Samara Rental on Facebook, and you're going to see there's a ton of Facebook pages where people will be able to actually to help you. Now, the lady here says, Leslie says, so far all the communities are on the West Coast. So far, amiga. But we're going to start moving out of the West Coast because we've covered San Jose, we've covered Guanacaste, we've covered the capital, which is actually in the center of the country. So we're going to move right now to the central. We're going to go to the Central Pacific coast. We're going to go on the other side. So I think Leslie will want to hear about that. Could you tell us a little bit about the Central Pacific coast?
Yeah, what I like, I really like this area a lot, and I think it's good for a lot of expats because it's closer to me. We could start with like Jaco or Herradura. Those are the first beaches that I can think of right now. So you could be in a beach town that is only about an hour away from the international airport or San Jose. So even in case you need a specialized medical assistance, it's not as far. There is a highway that gets there very close, fairly close, and then you start going into these first beach towns, Jaco, Herradura, and so on. But then it continues a little more. A lot of more options. This is Jaco right here.
Yes.
Very popular beach town for a lot of expats that live in this location. You find all kinds of amenities. But what I like about this area is like it's fairly close to the Central Valley. In case you have to come and make the drive every now and then, or for whatever reason you have to be closer to a bigger city, it's not as far, and you're still on the ocean. But from there is a list of beach towns and locations that people could go to that are very very valid, like Esterillos, Manuel Antonio. There's many other beach towns in that area. The weather is not as dry. I think Guanacaste is more dry to it. This is a little bit more humid. So if you can think of humidity better. This area will be a little bit more humid than in beach towns in Guanacaste, which is dry, and the landscape and the plants are different. This is a little more greener. Everything you see around is green, and everything grow for everywhere. Versus Guanacaste, looks a little bit more dry.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a beautiful area also, and then there's like in the Central Pacific, there's also, you could live like right in a tourist community, but it's easy also to find like places that are a little bit higher on the mountain, not too far from the beaches, that kind of stuff. We do have a comment from Debbie Hemingway saying that they're thinking of coming to Playa del Coco. Welcome to Playa del Coco, Debbie.
Hello, Debbie.
And thank you for joining us on the show. And now, okay, just this is a quick parenthesis because this is not what the show is about, but I'm happy to answer your question. In Coco, as like in many other communities actually in Costa Rica, you know what, amigos, there's excellent restaurants pretty much all around Costa Rica, right, Pablo? You can eat well in Coco, Jaco, Potrero. You could eat well in Manuel Antonio, San Jose. Excellent gastronomy, great. So you won't be disappointed for restaurants. All kinds of restaurants, typical, more modern, Italian, pizza, anything, and great shops also. So thank you for your question. Let's go and see another area, Pablo. So we've covered the Central Pacific.
How about the Caribbean? I think we're missing the Caribbean.
Let's go to the. You want to talk about the Caribbean? Okay, so let's go to the Caribbean. So the province of Limon, and here's where it's situated on the Costa Rican map. So we're going now right onto the Atlantic side.
And it's also one of my favorites. Historically, every time I have the opportunity to escape, I do it for work. I go everywhere, but Puerto Viejo and the Limon area has got something that kind of attract me to it. I don't know if it's the cuisine because it's special. You find this African American cuisine taste with. They put this rice and beans with coconut milk on it, and this sauce that I loved, that I it's from that region. It's from this is Puerto Viejo here. So if you go to Puerto Viejo, you have the opportunity. It feels a lot of it feels really laid back, a lot more laid back than other locations like Guanacaste. I think the tourist industry or the hotel industry is a little bit more laid back, a little more boutique kind of hotel, small businesses, small restaurants, but they all not all, but a lot of them they make a very good work, very good job on how it feels. They make the community feel very like a small little town with this Caribbean sense to it,
Mhm.
and there is a lot of nice beach towns with white sand, so the water looks beautiful. There is a national park, it's called Gandoca Manzanillo, so you can have a hike within the park right next to the ocean and find this small little beach location, I mean, beach to the side. Beautiful. It's a beautiful location.
Yeah.
I wish I have more time to visit the area.
And but what people need to know though on the like Caribbean side, if you're like talking about infrastructures and stuff, it's not yet quite as developed as maybe other areas of Costa Rica. So if you
Of
want
course.
more of a typical lifestyle, you want the Caribbean feel, you want a little bit more of the hippie life, you'll
Bob
be very very
Marley.
happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of influence of the the Jamaican culture is there. It's a lovely lovely area. Actually, that's the first area where I where I loved and where I lived in Costa Rica. I'm going to share with people the first place we lived actually in Manzanillo. And I'm just going to find a copy of the picture here. And this is our little casita here in Manzanillo. And this was like really typical Costa Rican life on the Caribbean side. Nice little house with flaps, no internet. We had no telephone. That's what I mean. So if you're looking for that type of experience, very easy to find over there. Now it's quite developed. I mean, you could get internet in some of the houses and stuff. I'm not saying it's not in existence, but you could get really that laid back feeling, none
Feeling.
whatsoever.
I
I want
think
to remind people if they have any
right.
questions to put them in the comment section right now, so we because we're moving along quite quickly with the show. So if you have any questions, amigo, now is the time to do it. Um,
One last thing to
yes.
say, I think it has grown a little bit. Now it used to be back in the day, a few years ago, that there is no paved road, but now you have a good road, so you don't even have to have a 4x4 to get all the way down to the the Gandoca Manzanillo National Park. So it's easier access now. There.
Yes, absolutely. Now we're gonna go like right down south, and now we're heading towards like people. Maybe some people don't realize, but in the north of Costa Rica is Nicaragua, in the south is Panama, and so the Osa Peninsula is heading us into the Panama region, if I could say,
Yep.
and is that's an area that you know quite well, also, Pablo.
Well, this is a pretty popular location. I believe Ojochal. It's a town that has become very popular among expats. Uh, Weather, it's a little bit humid. Very close to the ocean, so it's only a few minutes and you are in on water. There's other beach towns or locations that are very interesting as well. That are a little more into the woods, I will say, like Drake Bay, which is beautiful, Puerto Jimenez. Something that makes this area appealing to me, and my personal opinion, is that it's not as far from the border with Panama. And people need to do this border run and every 90 days or so. So it's an interesting location for that. And it also, if you go and do the border run at the border between Costa Rica and Panama, there is a place or an area that is a free zone as far as paying for taxes. So you buy all your groceries and maybe some electronics, and it's less expensive. And a lot of people make that drive sometimes just to get some gasoline out of the Panamanian side for a lot less, and gas and some of the things. So the cost of living could be, but still a couple of hours from the border. But maybe going once a month or so, it's interesting because you save money. And there are other towns that are closer, even closer to the border. Maybe
Absolutely.
Pavones, some area that I really like, which is not as beach town. but it's nice and it's also closer to the border, is San Vito. San Vito, Agua Buena. There's a few little towns there that are not expat towns yet, but I think they have a lot of potential to become expat towns. Uh, the weather is nice; it's nice and chilled. If you don't have to be on the beach and you like to have this weather that is chilled and enjoy that, and you enjoy that. Those that little town San Vito is close. You have a big hospital, and it's only like 15 minutes away from a border with the
Mhm.
Panamanian side, and then you can cross the border, kind of go get your groceries and get into the Costa Rican side.
That's great information. We do have a comment from Indigo who
I
says
like
a
that.
good bicycle
San
is
Vito
all
and
you
Agua
need
Buena,
in
Copa Buena.
Puerto
To
Viejo.
me,
Uh, a good bicycle is all you need in Puerto Viejo. I love it there. That's great. Thank you,
that is
Indigo,
true.
for your comment. That's so true. Actually, that's one of the beauties. I think one of the charm. We're referring back to the area of Limon,
Caribbean.
Caribbean side, but Puerto Viejo. A lot of people are biking around. Great comment. We're going to move along to the. I think this is going to be the last region that we're going to be covering. It's going to be like Arenal and Monteverde area, which is like more in the center. We're going to show the map here, and hang on. Here's the proper map, and we're like more in the country. We're higher in elevation. We're in the mountains again. Arenal volcano. Everybody knows the beauty of this volcano, and there's a lot of people who actually will move in the San in La Fortuna and in that area on the side of the lake, and it's a beautiful area to live in. Also, Monteverde was quite different, but is also in the same general area. Your comments on that, Pablo?
Well, I think this is historically when I was growing, I had to go to La Fortuna at least once a year. It was one of my favorite locations. There is a lot of things to do. So if you like to, you'll find all kinds of things to do in La Fortuna. You have the lake, you have different things to see, enjoy. There is a very green area. Everywhere you see green all over. The hot spring waters, a lot of things. But also it's fairly easy to find a big property to do a ranch. Fairly easy to get that, you know, lifestyle of uh, with in the woods. But it's also very close to all kinds of restaurants and services. That a mini La Fortuna or a mini Monteverde, but there are also other towns like around the lake, Arenal, Tronadora. Uh, there's
Tilaran?
many other Tilaran. There's many other, and
Yeah.
the weather is very nice. It's very windy as well. It feels fresh and windy, so it's not as
Yes.
hot. It could be humid if there is no wind, but is the area because of the lake. You have this wind that cross that area that makes that area feels very
Yeah.
chilled and
So
nice.
people who are not maybe familiar with the geography need to understand that right there, close to Arenal volcano, is actually Lake Arenal. Lake Arenal is a lake that's about 60, 70 kilometers long. It's the biggest lake in Costa Rica, and it's probably one of the biggest lake, I believe, also in Central America. So that that lake, is a good option to the beach. So if you enjoy the water, you could be actually living around Lake Arenal and in Tilaran. This is a photo actually here of Tilaran. This is a little community that I think is not very much developed, that has a lot to offer. It's a little hidden secret in Costa Rica, guys.
Yep.
A lot of people, you want to buy some property, think about Tilaran, because that place is going to be booming in a couple of years. And there's water access. This is what I'm saying. So, if you want cooler climate and you love water, maybe the beach is not really exactly what you need. Well, Lake Arenal, man, you could be fishing, you could
And
be doing a lot of things there.
Tilaran is a town that is not as small. I mean, you still have a hospital,
Yeah,
schools, and you still have a lot of things in Tilaran
yep,
for your base town, and of course around the lake all the way up to La Fortuna. There is also it's a tourist touristic location. So you find restaurants and amenities and all kinds of things for expats. And there is a community of people that is bilingual, speak English, expat community. So that's a very interesting location. I like a lot. Monteverde, I feel, is a little bit more chilled than this area. It's also very, very green. It's a beautiful, beautiful small town as well. I love Monteverde. Monteverde is beautiful.
Yeah, Monteverde. I'm not sure Monteverde has like such a huge expat community, but it is a lovely community if you want to be connected with nature and stuff. I'm gonna find. I have a picture here ready for people, and that will illustrate a little bit about what the housing infrastructure may look like in Monteverde. It's a beautiful, beautiful area, also. And so, if you want to be connected with nature, if you want to be, a cooler climate, the mountains, it's the cloud forest. If you want to study birds or hummingbirds or medicinal plants, I mean, that's one of the best places to be in the world.
Yeah, you have to put on your sweater to be around. At least me, and it's a little chill, and there's a lot of things to see and enjoy nature and hike. That's Monteverde is all about that. I think it's far away from a bigger city. That's a small
Yes.
town, so you have to take that into consideration. Meaning, it's not as close to an airport, and it's not as close for maybe to a bigger hospital.
Absolutely. So we have Claude Haché who says, thank you for doing this. Great information for our continued search. Alors, vous êtes les bienvenus. You're welcome, Claude. I hope you keep watching the show. Another comment here. Hey, guys, any chance there are any cooler areas that are within an hour or so of the beach? Well, a cooler an hour from the beach, maybe not, amigo, but an hour and a half, to be honest, from my experience, then you start getting into a cooler climate. Even actually living in the if you're in Guanacaste, because that's where I'm from. If you're in Playa del Coco and you actually go to Liberia, already in Liberia, Liberia is not a tourist town. It's well developed. It's got a lot of services there. It's got medical services. It's got a lot of shops, a lot of great restaurants and stuff. Already, you're not high in altitude, but you will find a much cooler climate right there in Liberia. And the same phenomena probably. Yeah.
I think maybe San Ramon may not be
San
as
Ramon.
far. It's not as far from San Ramon to Jacob, and then you are really on the mountains. It's just about to cross the mountain and get into Orotina and then get into Jaco. So it's not as, but maybe an hour, but an hour 30. So that's a location that I can think of.
Yes. We do have a question from Sandra, who is saying, hey, thank you, Sarah, for watching the show. Sandra, for watching the show, by the way. I hear Samara has a helicopter pad just in case of emergency to a hospital. Also, it seems like that Ocean Beach has less waves, making it better for children and older people. Actually, Sandra, Samara is a surf town. So it does have some waves, but it is a very safe beach, if I could say. The helicopter landing pad, I'm not sure if you would know anything about that. To be honest, I prefer not to comment on that, but it may be very have happened. I'm not too sure about that. Suzanne Lambert, when you say cooler climate, how cold are we talking about?
Well, I'm not. I mean, to me, it's not. I'm not gonna say in degrees because I'm not entirely sure. But I'll say you have to at least put a sweater on. You have to put a sweater on. It's not hot. You have to at least put not a really cold jacket. It's not snow. It's not gonna be snow or under zero.
That's right.
But you have to, when you go out, you put a sweater on.
It depends. Yeah, exactly. It depends. I mean, like Susan, like if you're in Playa del Coco, if you're on the beach side, like in the North Pacific, average temperature here is probably about I'll say in Celsius, and she's Canadian, so she'll understand what I'm saying. So you're talking 34, 35, 36 degrees. That would be probably like 33 degree would be like one of the cooler days on the Guanacaste side. And I've seen like the warmer periods of the year up to 40, 42, 44 degrees, but Celsius. So that's really, really warm. In cooler temperatures, so if you're going like I don't know if you're going into the mountain, if you're going to into like Arenal area, you're probably saying like a 4 or 5 degrees difference. So if you're talking about 40, 36, you're probably maybe talking about like you know um, 32. You're probably thinking about like 30 degrees or so. I don't. It's fresher, but it's not cold. And the one thing you're guaranteed is in Costa Rica, you're not going to have any snow. So, like Pablo was saying, you may need a little sweater at night, that kind of stuff. Certain places you may need, like for example, like in Monteverde, certain places, if you're like sleeping at night, you may want to have like a little bit of heat. And we've spoken about this before the show, Pablo. Actually, there's a community, and of course, there's a little bit of marketing behind that. We're not going to hide it. But there's a town in Costa Rica that is called Atenas, and Atenas actually they say it's the best climate in the world. Not only Atenas, but I think the general area, if I could say. But Atenas is trying to take the credit for it all. But what it means is that in Atenas, in that specific area, you don't need any heating system and you don't need any cooling system. So the weather is moderate, actually year round
I'm,
and
I'm, I'm
24
checking
hours a
on it.
day.
I'm checking on it. A couple of different towns.
Yes.
So Atenas is 23 Celsius degrees, as it is right now today, 23 Celsius degrees, or if you want to do Fahrenheit, 73 Celsius degrees. You have to remember this season is one of the hotter seasons in the year
Yes.
for the country. And if you go to Monteverde, it's 21, 20 Celsius degrees. Uh, and Monteverde is one of the cooler places that I can think of people could go to.
Yeah.
So
So the pit,
in those 20s, but this is like one of the hottest seasons, the dry season right now.
absolutely.
Is that what we're having right now?
You're so right. So the photos that are on the screen right now are actually photos of Arenal, Atenas. Sorry, and so this is mountain life. Not too far from San Jose. You're an hour and a half away from San Jose. Here's another beautiful view of this type of lodging that you may find in Atenas. It is a beautiful community. It is a beautiful region. It is a beautiful country. In a
It is.
nutshell. I mean, we
There is a lot of places. We were
a
talking
lot of
about this.
diversity.
It's a lot of places for people to go and explore and see if you like. It's a lot of towns that I can think of. We may not finish, and believe me, I know for a fact that expats usually go to another expat town, but they missed a lot of hidden little towns through that journey, through that deciding factor. They just miss a lot of towns. In Sarcero, for instance, and Sarcero is there's Ciudad Quesada, which is a city or a small city. There's Sarcero, beautiful little town. I don't see no expats in that location, and many other little towns around that are chilled, that is nice, beautiful. And there are towns like that through the entire country that people just overlook. They don't even know that they exist. And the interesting part of it is like if you're willing to adventure a little bit,
Hmm.
even the properties you can buy a lot more for less when you go a little bit outside the touristic areas.
Absolutely. Now, before we head towards the closing of the show, I want to remind people because today we talked about the geography. Another very important element is the cost of living in Costa Rica, and that has an impact also because remember at the beginning when I mentioned your budget, so that's very important, amigos. Actually, in 2 weeks from today, we're going to be doing a very special live show also, this time with Alain Mouquet, and we're going to be doing this in French next week and in English the other week after on the cost of living in Costa Rica. And Alain will actually be presenting 3 types of budget, like more of a Costa Rican style budget, like a North American, very reasonable type of budget, and also a type of budget that if you want to maintain the lifestyle that you have in North America. So we're going to be going through this with you folks. So actually, if you haven't had the opportunity to subscribe to the channel, Pepito Live Costa Rica, amigos, so you don't want to miss this show. So please subscribe to the channel on YouTube. I'm going to check. I think I have maybe another question here or a comment. expatriados en Costa Rica, canales destacados. So Alex, Tilarán, Naranjo, San Ramon de Alajuela, Zarcero, also beautiful. I mean, we could go on all night, right?
A lot of, I mean, it's a lot of small little towns, and I think people is missing a lot of people is missing a lot of good opportunities of finding a beautiful little town. I
Yes.
know tourist locations are huge. Expats like to be together in groups because of the language, because of maybe restaurants and amenities. But they're also, if somebody's willing to be a little bit more adventure, and going to drive a little bit and get into exploring deep, you can find a lot more for your money, and also very interesting communities and small towns, and if you like that kind of living.
Yes. Now, before we close, Pablo, we mentioned at the beginning. I mean, you work in moving, and the name of your company, if once someone decides to make the move to Costa Rica, International Relocation Partner, and that's what you do. You handle everything, so it's excuse the expression, but hassle-free for people if they want to move from anywhere around the world to Costa Rica, right? That's what you do. You're the expert.
Well, if yeah, exactly, I've been moving, helping people, and also corporate clients to move their employees to Costa Rica, or from Costa Rica to other places in the world. And our approach is, I would like to be very transparent through this process. I find out through the years that many people just offer the service just to sell something. And my approach is to be very transparent. I try to make a phone call with each and every client and spend a good 10 minutes, 15 minutes explaining each and every detail of a relocation process, shipping, customs, Costa Rica customs, and try to help you understand if it's for your benefit to do shipping your car or your household goods, and try to give you all this information so you can make the right decision. And that's has been our approach, and that has led us to a lot of great reviews in Google Business and in many other locations. So if you need help with shipping and household goods and moving your family to Costa Rica and shipping your car, I'm happy to help. And maybe you have questions about something else, anything. You need a
Mhm.
contact, you need whatever. I'm really open to help people. Really, this comes from my heart. I really admire you guys. I mean, you're coming, making this adventure. You're moving into another country. I have been in that position. I have lived in the United States. I have lived in Panama, and I know what's to be in a different location, not knowing anybody or knowing very little people, and needing that advice. And every time I have the opportunity to give an advice, and people that knows me will tell you. I'm happy to share contacts and advice, or give you at least a different perspective so you could prepare for your journey. And I'm really
Mhm.
happy to do that, not just with moving and relocation or
That's
shipping,
right.
but in general.
So the name of the company, International Relocation Partner.com, is the website. Actually, at some point you were doing a live show of your own. Are you still once in a while doing it? That's actually how we met.
Yeah.
I was watching your show and the content and everything, and I absolutely loved it. You still do it every once in a while, Pablo?
I did stop, but I'm planning to come back again once a
Okay.
month at least. What we are very busy with logistics and interesting, so people know. It's a lot of people right now. There is an exodus. There is a lot of people moving to Costa Rica and having to have these phone calls with clients. I used to do one or two a day in an average.
Okay.
Now I'm doing 4 to 5 interviews, explaining people, why to ship this or why not to ship or what is not
Yeah.
allowed to ship. So I'm making this. So I know as a fact there are a lot of people making the move. Uh,
Okay. I'm going to ask you a question now, Pablo. I'm going to put you on the spot because this is a question I get often. I didn't plan this, but it just came to my mind now because I have a lot of people call me and say, Pepito, should we sell everything and buy everything all over again in Costa Rica, or should we actually just move the stuff? And I know you're in the moving business. I have an idea what you're going to say, but still, nonetheless, I know you're a very honest and very transparent person. Um,
I'm gonna give you if it was Pablo Arias
yeah.
right now. or it just depends on who you are and what you have and what it means to you. Really, it's
Okay.
a very personal decision. Uh, Probably Pablo Arias right now, as it is, 38 year old single, uh, might just get a few bags and go. And I
Okay.
always advise in groups. When people ask, I have a few, I have a few things. I may have, I don't know, 6 or 10 boxes. Maybe not as big of a shipment. I
Yeah.
always advise, please axos or try to use the overweight on your flight. Just maximize on that. There are some airlines that allow you up to 7 9 bags, and you can do a lot with that. And if it's just one person, if it's you and your wife, and then you have 7 and 7, it's 14 big bags, or cases that you can bring without having to go through the hustle or issues that customs has. Customs in Costa Rica is very special. I mean, it's very particular. There's a lot of little laws and fine lines that you have to know how to deal with, and that's what we do. So if you have a bigger shipment, you have to look for a professional to help you with this, with customs.
Yeah. Perfect. Wow. I think
There
we've
is no
covered.
way somebody could just figure out, how to do. But to cut to the chase, is really up to you. If you have a small shipment, just try to pay for the extra weight. It will be cheaper. It will be less expensive than just hiring a cargo for 10 bucks, 10 boxes or 20 boxes, and it will be no customs involved in the process. So it's easier, faster, and you hire somebody, with the van or with the pickup just to take you somewhere else, and it will be less expensive and it will be fast. Customs is a complicated process. It could take 3 weeks. Once it arrives into Costa Rica, it could take 3 weeks. So it's complicated. But that's the solution for someone that's got very little things. But if you have to have your memories, and you deserve it. I mean, many people had a excellent career. They're professionals. They're retiring. They have all these memories. They have these books and all these things that they cherish. You can also bring your things, and you can bring a small container, 20-foot container, or maybe a couple of pallets. But you have to have those things. And there is another reason why shipping to Costa Rica makes sense is, maybe I find out some things, maybe some power tools that are not easier to find in Costa Rica. Maybe what we have in the market for power tools may not be the same that you can find in you can find in the United States. Some things that are very specific for your sport. Maybe you're a surfer or you do scuba diving, and there could be only 2 3 stores for scuba diving in San Jose. So you have to have that gear that is special, that brand is specialized. You like that. You better bring that into your shipment, because chances are you might not find that specialized
Mhm.
gear. I don't know, many different sports or that has a specialized brands. You don't find those down here. Maybe you have to import later on down the road.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
those are a good reason to bring your things to Costa
That's a
Rica.
very, very good and honest answer and response and advice. I really appreciate it. And I'm hoping that the show today, for people watching, I'm hoping that the show has helped you all to get like a little bit of understanding and helping assist you with the reflection. I wish that, when I came down here 7 years ago, actually, Carolyn and I, my wife, we were all around Costa Rica. We came down here 7 or 8 times exploring the country, and it was not always an easy adventure for us. We did it. We did it the hard way.
Wow.
First of all, we tell people don't travel at night because certain places now the infrastructure, the highway infrastructure, is improving a lot in Costa Rica. I don't want to scare anyone with that photo, but I know what it is like Pablo, what it is to move to a new country. Everybody loves Costa Rica. Everybody loves Pura Vida. But Costa Rica, in conclusion, Costa Rica has so much to offer, such diversity in climate, in culture, in services. And, we all come down here because we want to live Pura Vida. But for some people, Pura Vida may mean like 50 different things. So
Yep.
that's what the objective of the show today was, to give some elements to people to facilitate the thinking process, so that you will head onto a very specific or a better path, and not end up in the bottom of the river like Pepito did that time. Uh, Pablo, thank you for being on the show. I hope we get the opportunity to do more together like that and exchange on maybe other topics
We
about
will.
Costa Rica. I know you have a lot of knowledge. You're Costa Rican, and you know the country, and I know you're very, passionate and very good person. Thank you for taking the time and being with us today. So thank you. Gracias.
Thank you.
And so, amigos, that was our friend and Pablo Arias, and he was actually sharing his expertise with us about where to live in Costa Rica. Now, don't forget, amigos, if you haven't had the opportunity to subscribe to the show, to Pepito Live Costa Rica on YouTube, it's the time to do so, and also share with your friends. And don't forget, in 2 weeks from today, we will have this very special show that's sort of like a follow-up to what we did today, the cost of living in Costa Rica, and that is with our friend Alain Mouquet. Alain has been an expat in Costa Rica for like 30 years or so, and so he knows what he's talking about. He works also in real estate. So at that time, if you have any question, it's going to be just absolutely great. We have Alex who says, thank you so much. We have Indigo, we have Alex, we have Leslie, we have Susan, all the people who have made some comments tonight. Amigos, thank you very much for joining us on the show. And we hope to see you very soon again on Pepito Live Costa Rica. Ciao, pura vida.